Am I?
Okay, you
am
don't.
I legally? No,
You don't
I
detain.
think so.
You don't detain. And it's not that you can't, okay, and it's just like I was explaining to you before. There ain't no property worth you getting your ass handed to you, okay, by 7 people and 1 that's armed. Okay, the best thing you can do is get the license plate, get the description,
Right.
their names if you know them, and you tell us. I'm not gonna say that it didn't take an hour because I don't know, but I'd be very skeptical of an hour, even from Othello. I would say more like 15 to 20 max on our response time. So
Yeah, I think this was just a one-off incident that night, but I mean.
it could be. I'm not gonna argue with the time, right? But here's what I'm saying to you. Was it your property?
No, West Losers.
Okay, is his property worth you getting hurt, injured, raped, killed, whatever? If it is, that's a decision for you, okay? But to me, it's not. I mean, even as a police officer, there's some times where I have to know my limit, and I have to stand down.
That's what I was unsure
Okay.
about, you know, if I catch them again, what do I do, walk away?
So not necessarily walk away, but you can park away, and you can take all the information that you just described to me. You can take pictures, you can take videos, you can explain, you can get on 911 and explain the whole thing that's going on. Hey, they're in this and that, whatever, right? Putting yourself in between them, leaving with something that really debatable on if it's worth much or not, right? The reality is that. It's not, to me, it's not worth your safety. That's why in stores and all this stuff across the world right now, people are going in for Coach purses that cost what, $15,000, something crazy. But they're stealing them and nobody's stopping them because it's not worth it. Because what will happen to you may not just be the physical part, but what if you do something to them? Well,
Likely, yeah.
and their response is, I was just there, I didn't know I was trespassing, and all of a sudden he's forcing me to stay here, and he's, you know what I mean?
Yes.
2 sides to every story,
Yeah.
right? Now, hopefully that would never happen, but that's the reality. Don't put yourself in a position like crazy. That's just, you don't want to do that. In my opinion, not going to tell you what to do
Right.
unless I get out there and you've done something wrong, right? So you just got to remember that. There's nothing, no piece of property worth your life, injury, so on and so forth, right? That's just, I mean, that's the way I look at it,
Thank you.
okay? Any other questions, concerns? Go.
Okay, tasers.
What about, they're sweet, huh?
Can we have one?
Yeah, you can have civilian models, yeah.
Those are the ones you actually have to touch them with, right?
No, they have these that are made for civilians too.
Okay.
Yeah, they just don't carry the same.
voltage you can get.
Oh, no, I got one of those.
Well, it's not really the voltage, it's the ampage, right? Yeah, and so, I'm not a taser, I used to be a taser instructor with the old ones that were like big bricks, but no, they do make civilian models for safety and stuff. Yeah, I wouldn't carry one as a civilian.
I have one, I pack it around and I carry barely legal.
I can't really
Right.
carry a real gun.
So, okay, thank you for telling us.
Well, because I watch Art Block,
Yeah,
and you'll see me out in the boogeyman dark with a big old coat, with my hand in one pocket and the hand in another. One on the taser, one on my barely legal knife.
okay. Now you know what to.
I'm gonna go all over it, but you want stuff, I'll go talk to him.
Well, he'll probably tell you, can you please remove your hands from your pockets? And the reason we do that is because there's a taser in a pocket or a knife.
Yep.
No, and please do take your hands out of your pockets, but
And you
No.
have to be careful if somebody doesn't have like a pacemaker or something like that.
there's a lot of things to consider.
I would probably recommend instead of a taser or pepper spray.
I got that too. I got bear spray works better.
Tons of bears here. All right, anybody else have any questions or concerns, issues that we'd like to arise?
And
you're Awesome.
always available.
We are. I mean, I'm pretty open. I mean, Paula knows. If you call me, she's called me on my vacations and everything, and I'll pretty much answer the phone unless something really is going on and my wife says don't. But that's the reality. I'd like to be ready to take a phone call. So. Any
I'd like
other
to thank you
questions?
guys for what you do out there.
Oh, thank you.
We really
Appreciate
depend
it.
on you and appreciate you.
Yeah.
Our prayers are with you.
Just him, not me?
He's the one
Because
who
he's
trains
taller.
the women.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
Because you come in her deal.
no, we do, and please follow us on the Facebook. There's haters, I mean, everybody, you know, whatever. But the reality is that we up in Adams County, and I will attest to this for everybody. You guys really have to understand what we have here with our group. My guys are constantly being asked to go everywhere else. Moses Lake wants them, Grant County wants them. He can attest to it. I mean, he was working for Fish and Wildlife. My guys are solid. I've got Spanish speakers, I've got Ukrainian speakers. I mean, I've got guys that just really want to work in Adams County. And they live here, they want to live here, they want to work here, they love the citizens here, and they like doing the service that we provide. And so follow us on the Facebook. There's some pretty cool stuff. We just got an MRAP big, what do you call it, tank vehicle, I guess you'd call it. But it's an armored vehicle for big situations we've had to deal with in the last few months. We just had one that required 2 armored vehicles about a month ago, so on and so forth, but we got one ourselves, and it's just a big addition. The public's been great for us on our support. We try to support everybody in the parades and things like that.
Speaking of parades,
Oh,
we have one coming up in June,
for,
Combine Derby.
oh, of course, yes. Yeah, and the Combine Derby, that's up again, huh? That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Like the
That'll be
night
why you guys are in town though, right? Just for the parade.
Yeah, right, yeah. Well, will the signs be up on the evening? Okay, so you guys know about the speed signs?
Yeah, we have
Okay,
to
so
address that.
I got some donations, been working on grants for about 3 years, trying to get speed, basically signs that show your speed coming through town. And I worked on it for Washington, and I worked on it for Lynn, and the grants weren't working. We just weren't getting them they had to be in a school zone, a whole bunch of stuff. And so I went to a lot of places that donated money to us typically, and I said, hey, with the money you're giving us, I wanna get these signs for these communities. And they were like, that's awesome. So Washington has theirs up, and they're working really well. Some of you, have you seen them?
Yeah, I work
Yeah.
out of Washington.
Oh, okay, yeah, good. Yeah, so they're working really good, and you guys have a set here for each end of the city. And so hopefully we'll have those up before the Lynn Combine, and it'll hopefully help with that, the speed through town and stuff. So, yeah,
We'd love to have your armored vehicle in the parade.
you know what, we might just do that. Kind of a cool thing. Yeah, so, all right, any other questions before I go? Awesome. Well, thank you. If you see my guys, wave at them, call them over, talk to them, you know, all that kind of stuff. Most of them are really good. I say most of them. Most of them really want to talk. There's some, you know, you guys know Jeff Lane. He's not a big talker, but he'll talk your ear off if you get a minute with him, so.
I saw an officer that had the name Lynn on his vest. Is that his last name?
That's his
or-
last name, Scott Lynn.
Oh, okay.
So he is my civil deputy. He's an appointed position. He works in my office up there, and he handles all the sex offender registrations, the gun permits, and all that stuff. And he was a deputy when I was young. He's young too, but, well, we were both young. Anyway, he was a deputy in Othello area. He grew up in Othello, and I brought him on as my civil deputy because he's ultra organized. Like, probably more organized than anybody I know. So, I mean, he separates his M&Ms by color. So, anyway, any other questions? All right, thank you. I've taken too much time, but I appreciate it. If you guys have any, please reach out to us. I'm more than happy to answer questions, take your calls, email, text. I get people from Lynn all the time on Facebook asking questions. I'm not a big Facebook guy, but every once in a while I'm like, where do you live? They're like, Lynn. Oh, okay, I'll let them know. That kind of thing. So I'll answer as best I can. Then you got the people from Adams County, Denver, Colorado. You just took all my fentanyl. Yeah, wrong county, but yeah. Anyway, well, thank you for your time. I appreciate it, and you guys have a safe, good evening. And if you need anything, let us know. All right?
Thank you.
Take care. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. See ya.
Appreciate it.
It's on video now. Hey, thanks. Take care. You're gonna come out and ask me questions.
You think I am? Yeah, I'll be back. Okay,
We got a taser on.
Watch your step. I ain't going out to cuss.
council, we're back on the agenda with, item B, which is now building permits. And the building permit application is, Moorhead.
They can be loud, those are some of the secret words that you use, such as, instead of saying that.
I make a motion that we accept Joy Moorhead's building permit.
I second.
had to call, and it's because the school asked me to, along with the church, because those guys.
Motion's been made to accept, Moorhead's building application. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, there is no paperwork because it's in a question stage right now. What is the council's, opinion or stand for, the plastic Quonset, kind of like, buildings, tube, plastic on it, used for greenhouses? Have any questions that I can relay back to the person? 14 by 20.
I guess so somebody wanted to know if they need a permit to put one of those up, is that what
If
the
it would
question?
be allowed. They're wanting, with the grocery prices, they're wanting to grow their own food year round. So
Well, that's a, and maybe I'm wrong, but if that's a new building or whatever, they're gonna have to have a permit, just like anybody else would.
But you don't have any objections, any questions for that type of building?
No, as
It's
long
not-
as they have a building permit for it.
Okay, that's what I'll.
Is it gonna be a permanent structure or temporary?
Yes, is this temporary, permanent?
Yeah, I mean,
And is it pre-built? Is it
Well, if
pre-built?
we're talking about year-round, I would presume that it is a permanent
and
structure.
this is my next question on that too, is it actually for groceries or is this gonna be a greenhouse?
For illegal purposes?
As in a pot grow?
That would be the next question.
I mean, I guess there's,
We
a
have
lot of
already
questions
passed
on
an
that.
ordinance that you cannot grow, manufacture, sell, marijuana in the town of Lynn.
Okay.
oh, okay.
Well, there's a size limit. If you have certain size shed, it doesn't matter. So it would depend on the size of the greenhouse, I would say, is what your ordinances say, right?
It's
So
still
you-
the thought process for the person, so
Oh, okay.
I'll relay that back. Okay,
So, yeah.
item C, you've got airport insurance renewal. Okay, you can see on the front sheet, there's two options.
You don't have an idea where I live. You know where the ball field is?
You can see where it says, total policy coverage is $1 million each occurrence. Premium is $1,979, and that is not including the TRIA, which stands for Terrorist Risk Insurance Act. If you want the TRIA, then it will cost premium $2,261. So,
I'm not thinking we need that.
we have not in the past.
No,
Yes.
so I can't see why we would
So
need.
that's basically just to cover it if a terrorist flies into Lynn. Basically is what that is.
Or
We
if they
should get
fly
it.
over.
Never know, the way things are now, we might need
I think
it.
that there's enough training exercises going on out there that we're probably pretty safe.
Right, as long as that taser's juiced up, we're good to go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any discussion of,
I think it looks.
I don't think
forward
we
with
need
that?
that terrorist thing.
No, no.
I believe that, the amount of $1,979 will be sufficient, and I make a motion to that effect.
I second
The
it.
upper insurance.
all right, so it's moved and seconded, to go with the premium of $1,979. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Right.
And any opposed? Motion carries. Moving on with mayor's report. Before I get going with that, I would like to allow Henry to do a little update.
Okay, on the, house numbers, somebody missing, I've noticed some people are putting them on. So after the 20th, I'm gonna go around again and make a list, and then address the problem to get those numbers, not much. You paint it on the house, take a piece of wood, do something, just get them up there, cause, you know, it's good to have for all emergency services. The other thing is, use the town dump. I noticed a lot of yards with brush and things like that. That's a fire hazard. You can torch your house, you never know what's going on. Somebody throws a firecracker or something, it goes right up. So get it to the dump. And then don't forget, dump day's coming. So if dump day's coming, there's a lot of other yard things that can catch on fire. Tote them over. If not, I know there are other people with pickups and that, I got one. We'll tote it over there and just get rid of it, clean up those yards. Look a lot better, a lot safer.
What is the dump allowed to dump in there?
Anything that like brush, trees, things like that. Not
Yard-
building stuff.
And my next question, you were saying that, you know, the brush and things can burn, okay?
It burns, right. So
What
does the,
about two illegal wood stoves that do not have a cap on them?
have to be investigated. Okay.
That was brought up in the
Right,
last city
we
council
have
meeting,
we have a form at town hall,
and
fill
that
it
has
out,
been done,
and, we'll check it out.
you know?
You know, but the other thing is, if people have old wood, it's so gray, it's been out there for 10 or 15 years, that can catch on fire too. Take it to dump day.
If you're going by our house and you see the painted wood, it's painted for a reason, it's to seal it, it's not
Oh,
old.
no, okay, if it's a nice pile, that's okay. It's the junk piles that you gotta actually
It's
check.
either his burning or his turning.
Okay,
Okay,
get ready. That's it?
all right. Yes, it's very important for the emergency agencies to have a way to get to your houses for the house numbers, so get those taken care of. Council, you have the project status update in your packet from Mr. Nelson. And it's nothing new, nothing taken away, it's just condensed a little bit. The 2020 water project is moving forward, just waiting for archaeological investigation scope approval. Pavement of 8th Street and the Loop, funding is in place. The TIB 5th Street resurfacing is going out for bid here pretty soon. Biosolids application permit, Century West is completing that permit. Water planning is that big thick notebook that I told you about. I just got word that RCAC is going to be able to assist if you guys decide to do that. And the lift station upgrades, that's in the process of there was only one bid that came in. So, Mr. Nelson is trying to, and it came in a higher than what was estimated, put it that way. So he's working with, CDBG, so, on that, so maybe needing some more money, I don't know. Gonna leave it up to him for the time being. The picture of the Beverly Bridge, and I had some over there on the table, I don't know if the public, picked them up. But, the Beverly Bridge dedication was this last Friday. And if you don't know where Beverly Bridge is, Beverly, the little town of Beverly is on one side of Columbia River, and the Vantage Area Park is on the other side. And so the Washington State Parks and Recreation finished the old Milwaukee, and it's now walkable. You can take your horses across it. It's very well used now. So anyway, that's open for the Palouse to Cascades Trail. And with that being said, I want to give a big thank you to Rose Elkington for her assistance in that dedication. She went to help out with that. With that concept, May 27, we're gonna have the John Wayne Trail Riders coming to Lynn. So they will be using that, they will be using the trail, their facilities here, there'll be dinners for that weekend, and then they'll go to Ralston. So May 27th is John Wayne Trail Riders. Okay. This right here. Pass those out to everyone. This is a lesson that I learned recently. On 6th Street, there is a resident that has discovered or put up with sewer problems, and that house there is the resident that has the plugged sewer line. Okay, in the process of cleaning out the big hole that is there in 6th Street, that's been there for 6th Street, is, well, first of all, the sewer company that she hired was astounded. In their excavation, they found like a huge bit, and they called it a jackhammer bit. So just think of a big pipe, I guess, and it was stuck in the ground. They unearthed it because they hand dug it out because they thought that was the problem of her sewer problems, and it wasn't. It was just whoever a long time ago left their jackhammer bit in the ground. So anyway, it's still there if you want to go. But anyway, her sewer line goes across the next door neighbor's property. This person is hooked, this person is hooked, and this person is hooked. The sewer line, town main line, is north and south on S Street with that. And this was the discovery that I just assumed that, things were in my mind the right way. this is the normal 6-inch sewer green pipe, plastic pipe. At that manhole, and we had it cameraed, they came and stuck their little camera down, went as far as they could. So here's the manhole, and they went, and this drawing says that it's 51 feet, and that is the town's portion of the 6-inch sewer pipe, okay?
Yeah.
All right, so this house on the corner is, we're assuming, is hooked into the actual green pipe. Okay, the problem in the history of land, this portion where it stops to the end, which is the private sewer line of these residents' sewer situations, or sewer pipes. So, this person is hooked to this private line here. This person is hooked private line here. They all share that sewer line.
And it's only a 4-inch.
That, yes. That right there is 4-inch Orangeburg. And the Orangeburg is well after its 30, maybe possibly 40 years of life.
You say this is on Sixth? Which end of Sixth? Is it on the west end?
Here's S,
East.
so
and-
it's east.
It's on the east end of 6.
Okay,
Okay,
because I've got pre-existing at one time, then sewer line on my property that was abandoned.
okay. Maps, I don't know where they are. There are no maps that show that this situation. This was drawn from our camera scoping.
So when you say a private line, what do you mean by that? You said.
I put it in myself. With, if I were here, then I, with the neighbors, put it in to connect to the town's sewer line.
But it's in the road.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's legal. The town doesn't, they're paying for sewer, but they had to put in their own line.
They're still paying for sewer because it gets to the
Connects
sewer
to
line,
there.
okay?
So are you
this is-
saying,
I actually
Guys.
disputed this when this happened up at the house on the corner where the fire was, because they had sewer that had backed up, and there was, issues with basically saying that the sewer line was, from their responsibility out to the road. And I think the troubling part of that to me was, they basically had to find somebody licensed bonded to replace that out into the road. So my question, when I came down to the city council at that time was, how do you go dig up a road, make somebody be licensed and bonded and pay for all of that when the city can't even pay for that on their own? And at one time, the city of Lynn actually gave the Hispanic family up here a loan to do all of that, to get the lines out there. And on top of that then, if the city was gonna do it for them, the city guys weren't even licensed and bonded. So there's a lot of controversy with that, and I don't think that anybody needs to be going tapping into their streets and that be their responsibility. If it's to their property line where the sidewalk begins, that's where it should be. Past that into the street should be the city. That's my personal opinion. Because there's no way that somebody can go out into the street. The street doesn't even belong to them.
Well, this is the lesson. This is what the situation is right now, is this 4-inch Orangeburg. The private situation, or private sewer, is this part right here. So I'm just wanting the council to be aware of what is underneath possibly every one of our streets.
That's what I was
Because
just gonna throw out there was,
I
this
didn't
is
know.
6th Street. What about every other
Yeah.
damn street in town?
Right.
Well, isn't there a sewer pipe, is a sewer pipe opposite?
I assumed everything from the sidewalk out was city.
well, I think
I'm
if
sure
there's,
everybody in town,
a sewer lid on there, that's a main line. So,
That's
so.
where this is right here.
but I
So,
just thought every
Well, there's
street-
main line, there's sewer lids up and down Fifth and Sixth and all those. There are main lines that run east and west, as well as north and south. So I feel like you're saying that anything that runs east and west is a personal line, and that's not correct.
No, I'm just saying this situation right here is all I know about right now.
Right, we
I
don't know what
don't
the
know.
rest of them are like.
Yeah,
That's scary.
so anyway, this is a FYI heads up,
Right.
it's gonna be before us. And I don't know how many streets are with the orange bird. There's no records, because it's it's not town on any town maps, put it that way,
Yeah.
okay?
It's-
So we've gotten a couple grants to pave the streets, I guess, and maybe I've missed all of this, so it's a repeat, then I apologize. But, why aren't we like trying to shoot for grants then to fix the pipes in the street before we pave it? It's like, putting the siding up on the house before, you have a foundation, right? I mean, it's like we're paving the road up there, then we're tearing it up. Why aren't we getting the grants to put the pipe in the ground first and then come back and, a year later or the next year or whenever the grants can cycle again and then try to get the grants to pave it? Is there a reason why we don't do it the other way?
That's what we're trying to do with 8th Street and the loop, the Clarence Loop up there, is to figure out water lines. And now I'm going to insist, they're on septic tank anyway, but from now on, insist, okay, let's investigate our sewer lines. Let's investigate our water lines, because you're right, why should you do the top and then worry about the bottom later?
Because everything is aged, I mean, it's a known that it's like everything is falling apart, everything is old.
Right. So
Okay.
this is just go ahead.
Okay, the 4-inch orange bird was put in as private sewer. It wasn't done by the city. We don't know how many areas are like this. The mayor is trying to put out for our information that there may be others like this. We will, in the process, strive to get grants. It's not a thing that, okay, this is good, let's not worry about it, okay? We're in a process now to do that, and the last I heard an estimate of redoing the water lines for one, and I'm sure we can add the sewer lines to that, is somewhere in the neighborhood of $2.5 million at least. And that's just a number to toss out. So we are working on it, okay? We're not trying to put it aside. So please understand that.
Go ahead.
Bolin lived in that house, and he had to do some of the repairs when we replaced the sewer lines up on that street. So I would be checking with him, because I think those were messed with during a town project a long time ago. And I know that he had to fix them because they redid the main line and somebody's sewage was running out on the street because they didn't hook them up right. So I would check with Bolin if you're not aware of
Well, you're on
those
the wrong
plans.
side of the street.
I know,
This
but
is the
he
north
had to
side.
deal with the problem, is what I'm
Right,
saying. He was
right.
fixing and
So
repairing.
he's probably got some info.
Yes,
We could
I'm sure,
talk about
because he lived right there through the
Right.
whole thing, and he
I've
had
gotten
to,
in touch
actually.
with Adam, and I've gotten in touch with Evelyn. So it's just slow.
but those are new guys. Bolin was there when they did this with all the old folks that lived in those houses, not the new people.
Okay,
So I'm sure that there is something somewhere that shows those plans.
okay.
And if
I'll
you go
look into
back
that.
in your records, when they replaced the main water line on 6th, especially West End, those sewer lines were worked on, and a bunch of them were replaced.
So it sounded to me like there's been some replaced, but it's like, oh, it might be a section here on 5th Street and then here on 2nd or whatever.
Oh, no, at least
We don't know exactly
I know
Where?
5 sections that have been replaced, and I think you will find there is a sewer pipe on the other side of that, the private one, because it ran down from the corner to what used to be Coons' house.
That's what I'm talking
That's
about.
what she was talking
Yeah,
about.
so what they done there,
Yeah,
they ruptured that, altered ruptured it, they had to tie it in the sewer, which is right outside, opposite that, and then into the sewer.
okay.
On
So
the,
you're saying there's actually a new one
Mr.
besides
Allen?
this old existing?
yeah, see, this is what I can understand,
Did
is
you
we replaced
say
this
that
one.
your block
Brand new,
problems?
because they ruptured it basically, so.
Did I hear you right?
Then we done 3 or 4 more.
When we replaced the water line, main water line,
Yeah.
there was,
This one here.
that company that
That seems
replaced the water lines
In fact, we were up all night doing it.
did the sewer lines.
You do it right up there.
Oh,
So Labus's and clear down to Dutton's, Paula, Labus's clear down to Dutton's got a new sewer line.
okay.
And it's in 6th Street in front of Dutton's house more, and it hooked into the main line there by Dutton's also that runs north and south.
Okay.
And they did a section of my sewer line that runs across the intersection too.
Okay, good information.
They hit it several times.
Okay,
when they were
thank you.
replacing the water
I
line.
just, like I said, I just wanted you
Yeah.
to be aware of what's ahead of us. And back on Mr. Nelson, just today, he, is in the process of a general purpose, loan application, not loan application, grant application, with, the Department of Commerce. So he's already in the process of doing paperwork, seeing what's out there. General purpose can cover anything and everything, and we're gonna,
Yeah,
Try
apparently we
and go.
need to jump on as many grants as we can get.
yeah. Okay, so thank you so much.
Try to.
Okay. I guess I'm done. Finance Committee,
Okay, Myra, did you find anything
I
here?
didn't.
Okay, I make a motion that we pay the warrant check register for March 22nd, 2022 to April 11th, 2022 in the amount of $41,627.88.
I second the motion.
moved and seconded to approve March 22nd to April 11th, 2022, and the dollar amount, $41,627.88. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And any opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, it's a matter of the outstanding invoices. The updated version. Dates from,
I think February 25th.
16. February
Right.
25th.
from February 25th, 2022 to 4/1/2022 in the amount of $64,474.75.
I second the motion.
Okay, moved and seconded to approve the outstanding invoices from February 25th to April 1st of 2022, $64,474.75. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, you have everything done. Okay, what? Okay. Mr. Dworshack, do you have anything for,
No, not at this time.
okay, Miss Laura? No? Miss Myra?
No.
Mr. Mike?
We're just gonna, obviously, we need to do more checking into the plow truck and stuff like that.
Okay, I wish, yeah. I
And
wish you
apparently
would.
a few other things, but other than that, no, not really.
Okay, and please, contact Mr. Farrell.
to the sewer, all town crew, can they or can they not sewer flush with the sand and silt with all water tanker?
Yeah, when we get the water tank up on the
Or
Truck.
the lorry? So why can't they do that? I mean, you lift up with the backhoe, put it on, fill it with water, take the sand, cement, stop the top, and make it like a little bridge to flush the sewer. It does help a lot. And
Yeah.
it should be done once a year at least.
Yeah.
You know, but I haven't seen it done lately for at least a couple of years.
Okay. Other things that are, other emergencies came through. I'm not making excuses, but at the same time, it's a job that does need to be done, so.
It does, I mean, it
Yeah.
does help, and I mean, I know a good few people that are suffering sewer problems, and that's only because it hasn't been flushed, you know, so.
Well, the fire department has not helped in any way of flushing, so it is on the town.
Yeah, we used to do it regular, yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, we're not rubber leader.
no. That's it.
Huh? Yeah,
Okay, all right. Signed up, Darla Shaver.
Hi there. Probably a lot of you know my story. I live out behind the Derby. There were several people that had benefited from the Blattner wind farm coming in. I feel like that was my sister being one of them, actually. I feel like that was a huge disservice to this community. When there was first trucks out there, and the reason I feel like it's important to talk about the history, I'll get to it in a minute here. You know, those trucks were lined up and they went nonstop. And over the times and periods, we look around here, this is not the evergreen state, right? There's no trees here, there's no circles here, we don't have water. And any of us who have been here for any amount of time know that we have all dealt with no water. So to me, I still live in a world where there's certain things that you don't sell because you can't buy. Everybody says money can buy anything, that's not true. When the fires were here, we couldn't buy air. When we don't have water, we can't buy water. They've tried to get a canal system coming, there's all these things that are in the works, we've not seen any of that, so right now we're dry. So when I went out to Blattner, I had discussed with Paula what was going on. Those trucks were coming nonstop. I was keeping track of how much was going out of the litter with the logs. I was starting to have issues with my well. I know there were some other people around town that have had some issues on the rural areas with their well. I went out to Blattner and I basically said, hey, why don't you guys go somewhere else, or at least split it? Why don't you come and get some from Lynn, some from Othello, some from Washtenaw? And those guys said to me, they won't sell it to us. And I thought, well, why is that? Because they don't want to spare it. Don't you think if they thought they were going to make some money off of it, they'd have done it? They didn't. They made a decision there to not do that. So as all of this evolved, you know, I lost my well, which I lost a lot of things in the process of that, which are very heartfelt for me and very hard. All of that aside, I regrouped, I went on, that's that. They're talking about putting more windmills coming in 2023. I know this to be fact. So, as I was gathering data, you all had a report from a very renowned geological engineer from 2012. Basically, and this is just the cover page, so I had the main information. He sent it to me. It's probably 300 pages long. He had to send it in several different emails, so I had all the information. Basically stating that the reason that big well up there is to hell and back, because you have to treat it differently, you have to do all kinds of things because it is so deep, is because that all the groundwater runoff is to 800 feet. And in this report, he went on to basically say the reason that we're going to do that well at that feet is so we can protect the city wells here, because if we put another one in that's into this depth, we're going to run them dry. If you don't use them cautiously and take care of them, you will run them dry. And the rural wells on the outsides of towns too. There's a map that basically circles the area in which he was referencing. So all of this information was in place. It's been in this office for years. So I felt like my opinions and my words were disregarded and that maybe I wasn't heard, and that's here nor there. But moving forward, I reached out to the Department of Ecology. I went up through the water master. They all told me I was right. This guy, who makes a lot of money doing this, more than probably all the attorneys together, who the town hired, said everything I was saying was spot on. And yet nobody stopped. So if we're gonna find ourselves back in that spot again, I chose not to go to the news, which is what they all told me to do. I had an attorney who basically told me that I had some things that probably could win a case. Not part of it, but some of it. And you know, it's like, I chose not to do that because I think it would be an embarrassment for this town. To have that on the news, to basically say, oh, hey, your property values aren't worth anything because they don't have any water. And hey, this is how we're gonna run our town, and we're gonna sell the only thing, water and power here is what we can't afford. Vista Power is off the charts, and we have no water. So, I chose not to do that. But I'm also not gonna idly sit by if we make that same mistake. I reached out to the council the spring after all of this happened, and I said, we can't go backwards, all I would like is some reassurance to make sure that we don't do this again. And they said, there's no construction on the calendar? Great. So here's my question. I guess for me, I'd like to know if they propose to come to you, it doesn't matter which well it is. I mean, basically this whole report talks about it's this entire area. This entire area. That's the reason that they wouldn't, Department of Ecology wouldn't allow any of the farmers out there to deepen or sell the water. Because they're worried. So, I guess moving forward, if they come in to do more windmills, I'd like to know who decides if we sell the water. I'd like to know, I guess, what the process is and how we make a decision about that. And I guess if I hear one more person that says, well, we sold it too cheap. No, we shouldn't have sold it at all. You know, my husband works for a big contracting firm. When they've done a bunch of the jobs out here, you know where they went and got the water? Over at Gordon. They took the irrigation water. They wanted them to take it and empty those ponds out. I think there's some solutions. That company is worth millions and millions and millions. They could have went to the river and got water. You know, we were faced with drought, and then I was faced with fire. I lost everything. I lost all the pasture ground, I lost all the fences, and those guys told me it's coming, and I said, I couldn't even turn on a hose. That's not okay. We've had our ball field not be watered, and then there was a city water curtailment. You know, hey, do your part, don't use the water. That's ridiculous. So for me, I guess moving forward, I've paid my taxes, I've run my kids through the school district, I'm a damn good customer at Jim's Market, they'll vouch. You know, I do my banking with Gene. It's like, my family has made a life here. We all just sat here and listened to the cops go on and on about all the crackheads and everybody else and how many calls we got coming in. You know, take care of the people that are actually staying here and trying to make this their home, that are productive members of society. And that's the part that probably irks me the most, is I felt seriously betrayed. Because nobody would listen. And I still feel like nobody's listening, because I reached out after the fact. I recovered, right? So I guess I want to know, what is going to be the protocol moving forward? If they come and ask for water, is this something that we say, oh, hey, we already just signed a contract? Or is this something we're going to say, we're going to make a decision about that? What are we doing? I guess that would give me some comfort. That's all I got.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Darla. It's been said that whatever projects that would be coming through would be held or decided case by case, if I remember right. So it would be nice to know. I haven't heard a thing about any projects of windmills at all come through.
I've heard the rumor that they plan on putting the next phase up, but
Yes.
I couldn't tell you when. I have heard, like Darla's heard, like, next year, but I don't know, like, when they're planning on for sure, you know, start on that or whatever.
Well, and it could be even the solar farms. I mean, that was,
Yeah.
that was a bottomless pit too. I mean, you know, it's like, they said, use that water with caution, you know, and filling up 1 million construction companies. I worked construction for a lot of years. I know how much water it takes to put on those. I ran a lot of jobs. So it's like, when they started that project out there and I seen where, you know, where they were putting them and what was going on, I went out there and I knew. And you know that, Paula, because you know, you've asked me questions about all of that all along. So it was, you know, I guess for me, I guess, you know, case by case scenario, I'm at a point where to me, it's like, there shouldn't be any more cases. There's other avenues for people to find, you know, this should be for the fire trucks, this should be for the guy who needs a spray load, you know, for the local people who've left their life here. That should be for, you know,
Our water
what
is
it's
for
designed
our,
for our
us.
community.
Yes, I agree with that.
I mean, for crying out loud, if I go let my water trough overflow, I feel guilty. They took out hundreds and thousands of gallons. I have the logs. I know how much. I mean, it was insane, the amount of water that went out.
Okay. Thank you. Appreciate it. Next signed up was, is Denise Sneed.
Yeah, I just had a couple questions. Are we monitoring, the odometer on Henry's car to reimburse him for gas? How are you handling that?
What car?
What is he driving?
The town car.
Okay,
I was gonna say,
I thought he was
you are
driving.
using the town car to do your
Okay,
job, correct?
'cause someone
That was
had
my
told-
understanding.
Someone said he was using his own vehicle,
no.
so you're not doing that,
No,
okay.
my insurance says no.
Oh, okay. So, and then has Barbara been here for a year already? Because I understood that an employee is not supposed to take vacation till they've been here for a year.
She doesn't have vacation.
Did we pay her last week for vacation?
No.
Okay. And then lastly, I just checked Code Publishing again today, and you haven't given them any of the new ordinances since June of last year. And if we're gonna have a code enforcer, our code needs to be brought up to date. You have left everything since you first got it. There's one that says the clerk can't be paid more than $500 a month, maximum ever. And you're paying her more than 500, which I think she should be paid more than 500. But the point being, you can't leave all these old ordinances and old things in this code. You have to clean it all up, Paula, and you're supposed to be sending
The
those.
last ordinance, that's at Code Publishing, is 2108, or no, 21.
June of last year.
So that's where we are, and yes.
So why haven't you sent them? You're supposed to do it at least once, if not twice a year. And usually it's in January.
Oh, okay.
So how is he supposed to uphold a code that it doesn't have the current ordinances in it? You're not doing your job. You took an oath of office to take care of the laws and keep them up. And there are codes in there about the flue that Stan was asking about, the illegal chimney flue. It says the town marshal will take care of it.
Okay.
Well, why have you not looked at it in 4 years? And what are you going to do about it? When are you going to send the ordinances in?
As soon as I can, thank you.
Which is when?
Tomorrow, probably.
Well, that's good.
Anything else?
Nope, not from me.
Vicki Richardson.
Hello.
Oh,
I
you're
think,
still here.
yeah, well, yeah,
Came
because
back.
we've got several issues we need to address, and what you guys probably don't know is last week I got a phone call coming back from Moses Lake. It's the Department of Ecology. They spent an hour and a half at our house the other night. After they stayed with me for a while, they went down to visit with Paula. Then they came back and dealt with Jeff. The cracks hit in the fan with the Department of Ecology. You have possibly jeopardized grant money because of what has happened with us. I'm sure you didn't know that. We are also talking to legislatures, and everyone has asked us the same question. Why did you send Steve to our house to get that tree? Because everyone wants to see that tree. Why did you have Steve come get it?
Just thought it needed to be out of your your way.
I'm curious what tree you're talking about.
And we'll bring up this other project. When they did the water lines, they had to take just 2 trees and all the shrubs out. The agreement, and I want Paula to reinforce this for me, what the agreement was to what? How many trees and how many bushes were to be put back in?
I don't know how many bushes.
How many
Just
trees?
3.
Do we have 3 trees right now? We have 2. Why do we have 2? Because one died where there was a chemical spill. And we do have a video of it. And when Ecology saw that video, they were very upset over that. And they're asking, why did you, as a town, not report the spill? Why did Double J not report it? And why did Steve not report it? Why did the reports have to come from me? That's all questions that were brought to us. And then they all asked, did you get your soil sample? No, no one did that. We asked several times. We asked you, when is our soil going to get sampled? You know when our soil gets sampled? I took a sample up to Spokane at $180 out of our pocket. But I have videos, Jeff has them on his phone that he can not give me because it's too long. He's willing to show you guys. He's only willing to show a few of you because he doesn't want it tampered with, but it's very discriminating. It shows their equipment leaking on our property.
I was gonna ask, what kind of chemical spill are we talking?
We had 15 gallons of hydraulic fluid dumped on our ground.
Oh.
And it was never called in. We have a video of their truck with the oil underneath it. Jeff said, if you want to come to see it, he will show it to you. When we had problems, did I not call you and say, we got some problems up here and ask you to come up with Rose at one point when we couldn't get her to answer the phone? Did you not come to our property when we had issues?
And I looked at it.
Yes, but we did call you when we couldn't get Paula, is that right?
I don't know whether you couldn't get Paula or not. We came up there because we wanted to see for ourselves what was going on. And it wasn't at that point in time that you called us. We drove up there.
Well, we called
And got out, no, we got up there on our own accord. And we got out of our car and went and looked, okay?
I wanted to see it.
So,
well, it's just.
beyond that, I just, you know, tell you what, I'm done.
And they also asked us, why hasn't anyone communicated with them? Why did I have to bust my butt to find the numbers and all that? Why did I research with EPA? Why didn't the town take responsibility for a job you hired out? You were up there watching. Why haven't you guys addressed us 10 days without water? Because we have your text message from you sending us a message saying they're going to be up at this day. 10 days without water. You know what we got? Day 8 is when Dave brought us a case of water. How many times did we ask you and Wendy to come up and talk to us? You guys didn't. You just ignored us. Wendy, when she was working for Century West, we asked you and Wendy both to come up there. You guys say this is a done deal. It's not a done deal. We have talked to an attorney. And he says, does the town realize how much trouble they're in and how expensive it is to settle with you? Because alone with just the contamination of you not calling. And like I said, Jeff's got a video. And it shows the equipment on our property with their leak. We addressed it with you. We've got messages. So then for Steve to send a nasty little letter stating, you're not going to get your tree. You had your opportunity. Why would we want to plant another tree in the same area and have it die at $450? If you guys had done what we suggested, taking that back and getting it replaced, no charge. Why is Steve Nelson sending us a check out of his personal account for a water faucet? Because he thought maybe the water faucet would help our water pressure. We still have a spot for water pressure. But the town acts like it's no big deal. Everybody that we've talked to now says it's a pretty big deal. And if the town loses grant money, I'm sorry, it's not on us. It's for you guys for not reporting it.
I ran into that same situation when Sixth Avenue was redone. Made several phone calls, nobody showed up.
Well,
I wound up with asphalt, gravel, I wound up with a tore up irrigation system, which I understand part of it was on the city, part of it's on my land. I had to go to the extent of going to the contractor because the city would not do anything until it was too late. And finally, the contractor made it right.
well, we just want to know why we haven't been addressed at it. I mean, why should we go for 10 days without water when legally in the state of Washington?
Especially when the fires were here and everything was bone dry, compromised.
So, that's just how it stands. So we do not want to hear from Steve. We're letting the attorneys and everyone else do it, including EPA. But Jeff says, Mike, come up, he'll show you the video. He's not gonna turn it loose to just everyone because he doesn't want it released or erased. But he does have a very... But did you guys know that they were at our house last week? Department of Ecology?
No.
Okay. Thank you. Appreciate it.